Do you sometimes have a hard time saying no? A lot of us do or have in the past. If that's you, I've got a few ways to coach yourself to get really good at being able to say no. So, this is the last in a series of coaching videos I've been doing based on my book, Life Coaching for Successful Women, to help you really close the gap between where you are and where you really want to be. When it comes to busyness, a lot of times we think it's about, time management, but it's also about getting clear about why you just can't seem to say no. And one of the reasons is because a lot of times busyness is based in fear of what other people think. Whether they're going to think you are nice, whether they're going to think that you care, whether they're going to judge the choices that you're making. And we don't need to be ruled by fear. In fact, it's so important to make a decision, to have the courage to lighten your load. Because oftentimes our deadlines are self imposed and we found ourselves saying yes to things we really want to say no to, and we would say no if we got the bravery to do it. So, here are 4 questions to coach yourself. These come directly from Life Coaching for Successful Women, but hey, if you're a guy, these work for you too. All right, so the first question is, what do you really want to say in this situation? Like, if there was no fear whatsoever, if you were talking to somebody and like there's no consequences telling this person what you really think, what would you say? Get clear about that, because that is your authentic self talking and it deserves to be honored. Question number 2, what are you worried will happen if you say no? This is where we typically really get stuck. If I say no, there's this whole movie playing out in your head about what's going to happen, how upset someone's going to be, what's going to fall apart, what all those things. You know what I'm talking about. You've got to slow down and reflect on what you're actually worried will happen if you say no. Number 3, if you were to say yes, what priorities or goals would get less of your time? So when we say yes to things we really want to say no to, that means we're saying no to things we actually need to say yes to, because we only have but so much time. But if you don't get clear about what you're actually saying no to, you might be saying no to more time with your kids or your spouse. You might be saying no to working on that business you're trying to build up or that project that really matters. And you don't want to say no to that. So that yes could be more expensive than you actually realize. And then lastly, what lesson is this situation offering you? I think maybe, just maybe, our paths cross today, because the lesson that needs to be learned is no is not the end of the world. What other people think cannot be the deciding factor in you choosing to say yes to the things that matter and no to the things that really are not a priority for you, even if other people might disagree, even if other people might be offended. We can say no in a way that's kind, that just simply says, I can't do this right now. This isn't something I'm able to do in order to fulfill the priorities that I know are important right now with the limited amount of time I have. I can't. And that's that. So, coach yourself to say yes to the things that matter and say no to the things you really can't do right now. Don't allow fear to be the basis for your busyness, and make your decisions and fill up your schedule for you. If you've ever thought about coaching, or you realize, you know what, coaching actually is a skill that could help me be more resilient or help me to grow others and be a better leader, check out the Coach Training Intensive. We have a live virtual Coach Training Intensive coming up at the CAP Institute, and we would absolutely love to see you there. Until then, practice one of my favorite sentences. It's a 1-word sentence. No.